Hello everyone, it's I80386SX, and this is a vintage computer repair video. It's either going to be the second simplest or the very simplest video I will probably ever do. If you own a early 90s, mid 90s Compaq, either like a Compaq ProLinea 575E, Compaq ProLiant 1500, or the ProLinea 425S like you may have seen on my channel the other day, and many Desk Pros, and even some Macs. I don't know exactly what Macs, but I know there's quite a few Macs that use the Rayovac 840, 841, 844 battery. If you tried shopping for one of those lately, you may notice that they're not plentiful. In the few that are left, they're north of 20 bucks. And to me, that is outrageous for something that is very easily replaceable. If you are tech savvy, you probably already thought of this and you probably don't need this video. But for some of those that are racking their heads over this mystery, we have a very simple solution to these problems. And most of the parts you already see in plain sight. You have a AAA, 3 AAA battery holder. Nothing fancy. This one does have an on-off switch. You don't need one with an on-off switch, especially considering that it's going to keep time. That is its main purpose. You could easily use a AA holder, although finding a space for that in some of those smaller computers, especially the Macs, gonna be a little bit of a challenge. But if your computer could hold it and that's all you can find, perfectly fine. And that's just the cover for it. And the AAA batteries are nothing more than ordinary alkaline batteries. These coming from our 2019 World Series winners. If you get the joke, feel free to mention it in the comments section. But and the missing link, I have a cable for audio cable for a CD-ROM, DVD-ROM, DVD reader, or whatnot. We really need this end. If you are lucky enough to have a dead Rayovac 840, 841, 844, just cut the end off of that. You don't even have to go get this cable. And if you're a retro computer nerd like myself, you may already have many of these items, if not all of them. Almost everybody has AAA batteries. Gotta have at least 1 or 2 of these laying around. And battery holders. Well, Amazon Prime, Jeff Bezos, they can hook you up no problem if you can't get them locally. The tools you'll need: a soldering iron, something to solder with, electrical tape to cover up your work, or the liquid stuff is fine, and a wire strippers. Since you're dealing with very thin wire, you want one that can do 26 gauge wire. This stuff does look pretty thin, so I don't want to take any chances. This piece is honestly probably the most difficult thing to find out of all the things I mentioned. So let's get right into it. I'm going to cut this cable right in half. Boom, it's done. So we gotta strip a little bit off here. It's been a while since I did one of these tutorial videos, so don't mind if I'm a little rusty on this, or accidentally take a few things off of camera. I'll try to watch that. I gotta strip a little bit more off. The secret is obviously not to strip the wires inside. Tell you, this is some of the most stubborn cable I've ever dealt with. At least the jacket is anyways. It is hanging on for dear life. Okay, so all you have now, you'll have exposed wires. So the wires of interest and I did not even know this about audio cables, is that the black cable is no more than it looks like just the ground. We don't need that. We can cut that away. Sorry. And it really, for really thin wire, it sure doesn't want to get out of the way fast. But you can either cut this excess stuff off or tape it off, whatever your heart desires. Red goes on red, of course, and then your black lead will go on to white. And camera doesn't want to cooperate, whatever. The big thing you got to worry about is that most of these are keyed. If you have the Rayovac 840 that you're rebuilding, this pin, the second one from the top, also where the black cable is likely going to be not a hole there. It's just so you're going to have one lead on top, and then the second one will be blocked off, and then the bottom two will have open holes. So in this case, the red lead, if you don't have a battery, would be the spot. If you have a keyed with 3 pins, the red would go next to the area with no pin. Clear as mud, right? So next thing, this is where you get your 26 gauge strippers. Don't cheapen out on the tools, you'll regret it later. Perfect. Now, I did try to do something stupid with this one before this video came. I just thought I could tuck these leads in to the end of the CD-ROM cable. I tried that years ago with some Radio Shack branded ones, and it worked great for several years. These ones I got from Amazon, not so much. So, we have to solder. That, and I was not confident in my soldering techniques back in the day, but I'm still not entirely, but now we have a little bit more of a sense of adventure. So next thing you need to do is secure both ends. You may have to do that with tape or vices or whatever tools you have available to you. Now, for those who've watched my videos for a while, you'll notice that I still have this random piece of plywood sitting on top of the table. I'm starting to be, the more I work on these, the happier that I am that I did that. So you can see the feet from my Prolinia 425 are leaving quite a mark. Oh well. But anywho, so I'm just going to tape directly to the table because our plywood is pretty much dead in the water at this point, so we will do it like this. It's very tedious work, and there are probably better ways to do this, but oh well. As long as it gets you power, as long as it doesn't burn the house down, you're good. I'll try and move the tripod and hopefully it don't knock over. There you go. Your leads are together. Now comes the time when you want to solder the wires. And I'm going to try this doing this live. I don't know how well it's going to work, if it's going to work at all. As said, my soldering skills are not the best, but I'm feeling adventurous tonight. And even if I help even one person in the world, my work here is done. And I did not make any mention of the soldering iron. This is some Weller, I think it's either like a 15 watt or 20 watt. It's nothing fancy, but very effective. So let's solder our cable on. Looks like it joined. Ta-da. Let's see how we did. I know it's not perfect, but it looks like it'll do just fine. So, next thing is next. Tape off the ends. You may be able to use existing electrical tape to do so. That's exactly what I'm going to try. And I apologize for going off camera on that one. I forget sometimes with that I need to go under the camera. Alright, so those are covered, so I'm going to cut that. Bah! Darn it. Alright. I am not an electrician, so my taping work is not going to be perfect either. And the fact it's holding together like that tells me that our job is adequate. And next step, I am going to cut off this extra stuff right here because we no longer need it. And I'm going to unplug my soldering iron because we don't need that anymore. Clean off my table. The room is kind of messy right now, and I don't want to make it worse. So, also out of abundance of caution, I'm going to tape this part off too. Obviously, if you're recycling a Rayovac 840, 841, 844, you don't need to do that part. And a liquid electrical tape will work just fine for this as well if you so choose to use that. Alright, so that is now together. Doesn't look the greatest, does the job. So we'll move with that. Alright. AAA batteries go in next. No secrets to that. Follow the directions if you have any. If you can't insert a battery in, well, I'm sorry, you might have to reevaluate some life choices. And we're in. And cover is now on. The pack I got, they have screw holes, but I didn't get any screws. If you want to test your work before it goes in, I don't have one of these that has a 4.5 volt lead on it, but you can easily hook this thing up, or a multimeter if you have one would really work well for this. I know my device here isn't the best of shape anymore. And I am going to, there are gold leads here, I'm going to see if we can get that to work, and that is not going. Yeah, wow. Okay, I gotta think of another plan here. Paper clips. When in doubt, use some paper clips. If I had actual leads like a multimeter, it'd probably be a little bit easier. If you do this way, do not let the leads touch, or you will likely have a bad time. And those are almost even a little too big, but what are you gonna do? So this is what we're going to do. We'll try that next. And as you can tell, we have voltage. And it's not perfect. As you may notice, it's just above the green. It should be a little bit further to the green if we had a 4.5 volt setting on here, but we don't, so we gotta work with what I have convenient. I do have a multimeter. I don't know where it is, and I don't feel like looking for it. So let's get those paper clips back in their little home. And now we are ready to put our newly built battery into its final resting place. In my case, it is going to be a ProLinea 425S. And that's still a little bit hot, so I'm going to keep that out for now until it completely cools. Little disclaimer, if you do have a 486 based Compaq ProLinea or Desk Pro, not all of them will have a spot to put on a battery like this. If you're lucky enough to get a lithium battery or the coin battery, you will likely not have that spot, and you'll have to get a little bit creative, but you basically can solder on a CR2032 on those, I believe. And really it's a blessing in disguise, because if you don't get the coin battery, the alternative is the red Vardas. They like to blow up and play the role of a hand grenade when they die. So, anywho, so find a resting place for this thing. You'll probably have to put some something to stick it onto the case somewhere. The 486 base Compaq ProLineas, they have plenty of hiding places for a battery. So, that part is easy. And I gotta find where it is exactly on this board. I know you can't exactly tell, but mine is where my right pointer finger is. So I gotta try and get that in there. And it is proven to be a very tight squeeze in this little case. Actually, I will see if I can do this without shutting off the phone. But I said earlier, it's actually J53, and let's see if I can get this to go. There's J53, you can kind of tell. You'll notice there is on J53, the second spot from the left has no pin. So, in that case, the red lead would go on the pin all the way to the left. That's what I was talking about earlier. I hope that makes it a little bit clearer. So now I'm going to try again to put this guy in. first time around I had all these IDE and floppy cables out of the way, but I don't feel like taking all that out. So that is now in. I am going to do something very stupid now. Well, it's not really stupid, it's just brave. We're gonna put this thing back together, or at least put the cover back on. On this computer, you'll know very quickly if your surgery worked, because the second you shut it off, it loses time. Now, it'd help if I move these screws out of the way. So, final cost for me, I'll probably repeat it later in the video. Between the batteries, and you can really use any dollar store stuff for the batteries. Between the cases, I got 3 for $8, I think it was. Might have been even a little less. And the CD-ROM cable, probably $1. So, basically, $10 to rebuild a Rayovac 840, 841, 844. It may go by other names. Works great if you don't throw the screws around. And, all right, that is in place. So, I'll find the cover. Rubber feet are very melted on this thing. Really like to play the role of glue. Soda and melted rubber, the best glues in the world. That's my theory. If you don't believe me about the soda part, try peeling off of one of those false floor tiles ones that have soda spilt on them, and you will quickly change your mind. But we're not here to talk about ceiling tiles or floor tiles, so we'll save that for another day. Alright. Get some power. And okay, we have a roadblock here. So I gotta find a VGA cable that has 14 pins only, because this one has 15 pins. Now, probably the last thing you want to hear me do is ramble about and searching for parts. But the good news was, on the VGA cable front, I had one almost readily available, almost within reaching distance of the camera. I suppose I could have edited this part out, but we'll see how that goes. If it becomes really long, then I will edit this part out. Next dilemma is power cables. I know I had plenty of them around. I just gotta scour them up. There we go. Alright. And I think we just need a keyboard for this part of the exercise. Which I know I did not put away, so we should be fine finding one quickly here. And indeed we did. Good old Dell keyboard. if you have one of the later Compaqs that have the BIOS on the hard drive, or the BIOS files on the hard drive, then you'll want a mouse, or I recommend it. But this one is an early 90s Compaq ProLinea, so it should be good without a mouse. Now, if that helps, but I'll shut off the light. As you can tell, the BIOS is from 1992. I'm going to go F10. What is the date today? Now it's February, I believe it's the 18th today. I gotta check on the old phone here. Now we're in 2021. And time is 8 p.m., so I believe we're in 20. Might be a minute off. We have a 1.4 megabyte. No second drive, diskette drive enabled, good enough. So everything's saved. Oh, that's right, it's F3 in this one. Let's hope it doesn't lose its settings here already, but knowing me, I shut the cover on this thing, so anything's possible. So far, so good. This is absolutely booting. For whatever reason, I do not get a splash screen on this computer. I have not quite figured out why, or if I accidentally shut it off somewhere, so this is what you're going to see. I will grab a mouse just in case we need it. I'm going to plug in a mouse, just in case. Will it detect? No, sir, or ma'am. But so far, I'm going to try to be cocky here and do this strictly by keyboard. February 18, 2021, 9 p.m. Shut her down. Let's see what we get. Woohoo! See, I've never seen this before prior to this computer's existence, but we will unplug for exactly 1 minute. We'll keep it really make things thorough here. I believe if it's even off for a few seconds, the battery will not keep time if it's dead. And we're almost at the full 1 minute mark. I think I stopped this there, started our timer at 29:05. And that's a full minute, so let's turn this on. Let's see if we kept the time. I'm surprised. I'm very impressed on how quiet that hard drive is after 25 years in service, and that came from my high school writing lab from a Prolinia 433S. Did. Okay, so there might be something wrong with my battery, because it absolutely did not keep time. So let's find out what went wrong. Maybe I got a jumper wrong, because these particular models do come with a jumper. So magic of video editing, I'm gonna go take a look and see what I did wrong. Hello again. So turns out polarity does matter. Now hopefully, I'm gonna unplug the computer right now. So I had the cable in backwards. That was the whole problem. I don't know how it switched over when I was in there. Maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention, but that's what happened. So polarity absolutely matters in this case. If you have the Rayovac 840, 841, 844, you won't have that polarity problem, or at least the ability to reverse the polarity anyway. But we're just about at a minute now, as we were watching a few seconds ago or a minute or two ago. That was more than enough to prompt the time to reset and the BIOS to lose its settings. So I'm going to go get the power cable. I'm going to plug it back in just to show you that there are no tricks here. And we're going to turn the power on. No barking about time, so it looks like it was just indeed the polarity. Still no logo though, because I tried to fix that offline, but let's see. That'd be an offline discussion. And the time is 9:17 p.m. As you can tell, I did not go into BIOS and set that again. And February 2021. So we are keeping time for the first time in God knows how long. You don't have to worry about any exploded Vardas or anything like that. And even better, if the batteries do leak in this thing, it should be contained entirely within that battery holder, and you can just clip that off and put new wires on, and no mess on your motherboards. Because these vintage computers are getting precious now, and I scored this one for a great deal. I know they easily go for $200-300 on eBay. So I hope you enjoyed a well over a half-hour session of making a battery. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, constructive criticism, a better way to do this, comment section. Go ahead and leave your stuff in there. So thank you again for watching, and be many more videos in the future.